Just in case y'all are wondering, still very warm outside. Very warm.
You don't say.
Just in case people have been in their office since like 7:30 this morning when it was semi-nice. I had to take Austin to basketball practice at the high school, at Gilbert High School, and semi-nice. Not anymore. 1,000,000 degrees outside. 1,000,000 degrees. If y'all ever wanted me to change my opinion of the Nooners, we're working our way towards it, getting a lot closer. I'll say that. I save this clip and play it again in January or February, Tyler, when I'm starting to complain about the cold because, I've had about enough.
It is really funny because we kind of get both ends of the extreme living where we live where, you're in the middle of summer, it's 100 degrees, whatever, heat index feels like 110. You're like, man, for like 5 minutes, I would take a 10-degree ice storm right now. And then when you're in that kind of thing, not an ice storm because it doesn't get that cold here, but when it's snowing and it's 25 degrees here, you're like, man, I'd kill for 110 degrees for 5 minutes right now. Whenever you're existing in one extreme, you always want the other one.
People have heard me on the station, love the Nooners, love the early games. The heat, and now my situation is a little bit different. I don't want to speak for you. But my situation is a little bit different with this kidney. I have noticed differences in my tolerance of the heat over the last several weeks and how my skin reacts in particular.
Yep.
But with that being said, I've had about enough of this. But we've got, what do you think, 2.5 months to go?
Yeah.
Just 2 months maybe in middle of September.
So yesterday I went and paid my county tax for my car tag and stuff. And, they give you the thing with the little sticker to put on your license plate, and they give you the receipt for what you paid for there. So I get back home, and I'm putting the thing on my license plate and holding the receipt in my hand. Gust of wind comes and blows the receipt out of my hand underneath the car that's parked next to me. And, of course, it's like right in the middle underneath this car where I can't just reach under there and grab it. So I, go inside. I got a yardstick at my apartment, and I just go in there, and I'm trying to, fish it out. I spend about 20 minutes in the heat of the day, because it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, no shade, trying to fish out this receipt from underneath this car. Because I'm like, I don't know what information's on this thing. I don't want people knowing my stuff or stealing my identity or anything like that. So that's how I spent the hottest part of the day for about 20 minutes yesterday, trying to get a receipt out from another car and underneath this other car. And I'm like, it's pretty dang hot outside.
Good grief. Yep. All right. Well, it is, for those of you that are working your hiney off and staying in the office in the air conditioner, if you were just curious, if you're just like, I wonder if it's blazing hot. Yes, it is. It is, as we are full go in summertime, July the 8th. Everything slowing down to an extent, but starting to speed up a little bit. And by that, I mean we're in a dead period. We're in a dead period in recruiting, even though there was a welcome home last night. But we are starting to pick up a little bit because, Tyler, and we'll get into this a little bit today, Big 12 Media Days taking place.
Talking season is underway.
Talking season is underway. And there is a tinge of sadness to Big 12 Media Days. Maybe more than a tinge. Maybe it's full-on sadness. I talked about this with someone last night, and I truthfully, I'm trying to think of how to set this up properly for you. I've been thinking about this,
okay,
and how to set this up properly for you. But I'll jump straight to it. First media day. There were a lot of different conferences for Oklahoma State. But first media day since 2004 with no Mike Gundy, who was a quotable machine.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
he was always good for a line or two. This is where 2 years ago, what was the running back's name that he was talking about? I drove and had DUIs all over the place. Not that big of a deal.
Yeah, Mike Gundy in the last 2 or 3 years has had some one-liners, two-liners at Big 12 Media Days. And yesterday, he did not, obviously, he is not there. It looked like, you can tell me if I'm wrong, because I didn't do a full in-depth dive on Big 12 Media Days yesterday. There didn't appear to be anything. There was some some back and forth between Brett Yormark, the commissioner, and some reporters.
Yes.
As it pertained to Brendan Sorsby, but it didn't seem like anything too quotable came out. Eric Morris is the new head coach there. He comes over from North Texas. But yeah, no. So we lose. And by the way, as far as I can tell, Mike Gundy has not latched on to anybody. At least that was my research last night, and I'm a little surprised by that. Not only that he hadn't latched on to anybody, but that one of the networks, as far as I could read anywhere last night, has not scooped him up, or at least there was no article saying that a network was making an effort to have him as a pregame, postgame, some kind of commentator, because. I mean, maybe that's because they know Gundy's a wild card and you don't know what you're going to get.
Well, I would be shocked if nobody's reached out to him, and maybe after, again, being at the helm at Oklahoma State for 20 straight years, maybe he wants to take a little bit of time off, enjoy time with the family, fishing, hunting, golfing, whatever he does in his free time, and then get back into things maybe coming up next year. But I'd be shocked if nobody at least reached out to him. He just may have said no.
Yeah, because, I mean, he's got a personality, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, Brian Kelly is going to do what, WAC game? Is that right? Or
Mountain West.
Mountain West. Okay, Mountain West.
We don't have the WAC anymore.
Yeah, I don't. We're the transitions of football are crazy. But if Brian Kelly can get a job, who seems like now maybe we'll be wrong about this, doesn't have a personality. It seems like his personality is more in line with Bill Belichick. Then I would think that Mike Gundy would kind of be in high demand to throw him on a couple games and let him analyze, describe, and break things down. And I would tune in for that. I would be watching, let ESPN see if they can get him in there and put him on a Tuesday or Wednesday night Maction game.
Sure.
And let's go from there and let him break that down.
With how off the cuff Gundy can be, I almost wonder, and I don't know, he wouldn't know how to set this up properly, but like if he had his own Twitch stream or something like that where he's just reacting to games as they're happening, giving his own commentary that can be unfiltered and uncensored, I'd pay for that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that's what we got. So, but yeah, Big 12 Media Days underway. We'll let you hear a little bit from that coming up throughout the show. Again, nothing newsworthy. You would agree with that? Nothing.
Yeah, no major headlines.
Yeah. Aside from.
I will say this because, and I don't know if they did this last year or not, the players that are there are in their uniforms, right? Like they're wearing, shoulder pads, jerseys, and all that kind of stuff. So I saw DJ Lagway in a Baylor uniform for the first time. And look, we're in an era of college sports now where there's so many guys going to different teams left and right. Something about DJ Lagway being in a Baylor uniform just felt weird. And I don't know why. I can't explain it, but it just felt very off seeing that. You know what I mean?
Okay. I didn't see the picture. I didn't see that, but yeah, okay. I'm with you on that. Although I don't know. I feel like that's something that we're getting accustomed to. Real quick, you know what I did learn last night that I just must have missed it in December, just flat out, I don't know, it just slipped past the goalie.
Uh-huh.
I didn't realize Billy Napier is back in college at James Madison.
Oh yeah, you forgot about that?
And you know how I found out?
How?
Austin's playing EA Sports 27.
Yep.
And at the end of the season, for those of you that don't know, it's a pretty realistic game. I mean, they got NIL bucks in a different kind of way and everything. But coaches can get fired. And you can go through the list of the coaches that got fired at other schools.
Sure.
Billy Napier got fired in 1 year at James Madison. And so I'm looking, I'm like, huh? I'm like, I was like, that's crazy. I was like, I made a comment. I was just like, Napier, in the game, I was like, I said something about the game, and Austin goes, no, he's actually at James Madison. That's actually where he's coaching at. And I had to look it up. And I didn't realize Billy Napier had gotten back in the game so quickly.
And moving into this a little bit later, because Wilson Alexander of On3 had a good in-depth piece with him, the other day on the website that he's maybe now realizing some of his faults at Florida and why things didn't work out very well. Hindsight is 20/20, but he's finally kind of owning up to why maybe things didn't go the way he wanted them to down there in Gainesville and why they
I was like, oh, I did not know that. 803-404-6100, how you can weigh in this afternoon. Also coming up today at 1:30, or 1:15, excuse me, 1:15, Yancey Porter of Rebel Yell will join us. We'll check in our summer series on the other SEC teams. We're not just doing teams that South Carolina plays. We're going to try and check in with all other 15 teams. Yancey Porter, Mississippi. Yesterday we played a lot of the Phil Steele interview from the early game, Tyler.
Yep.
And obviously LSU is a fascinating team this year. Texas is fascinating because of the fact that, to me, there is no job in the country that has more pressure.
Yep.
Not like a hot seat, you're going to be fired, but more pressure. When you spend that amount of money that Texas spent on your roster, you're not just trying to get to the playoffs. You're trying to make a run to the championship game, and then wherever you go from there is the cherry on the top. But I think Sark has the most pressure on him, and that's followed by Kalen DeBoer. But Mississippi is wildly interesting, too, because now, Pete Golding, it's your baby. This is all yours. There's no Charlie Weiss Jr. There's no, there's no Lane Kiffin. It's all yours, Pete. And it's gotten off to a bit of a rocky start.
Well, and you set the expectations so high by carrying the team through the playoff into the semifinals when you were handed the keys when Lane Kiffin left. So, if he gets bounced in round number one or the first game that they play, saying, okay, well, we still don't know enough about Pete Golding as a head coach. But I think the fact that this team almost made the national championship with him as the interim, well, he wasn't the interim, he'd already been the head coach at that point in time officially. I think that sets people's expectations high, hey, this guy can do it. So they're going to expect him to be right back in that mix again this year.
No, you bring back, obviously, Trinidad Chambliss, who got approved for his extra year of eligibility. Kewan Lacey is back as well for Mississippi, so that's a great starting point just right there. And then Pete Golding calling the defense. I haven't done my deep dive on Mississippi just yet. I started really getting into stuff last night, which is, again, how I came across the James Madison stuff and listening to some Big 12 stuff. But we'll talk with Yancey Porter coming up at 1:15 today of Rebel Yell and get his take on how the summer's been. Because, Tyler, Clemson tried to turn him in.
Mm-hmm.
And Clemson had about as damning of evidence as you can have, right?
That red-handed, hand in the cookie jar, photographic evidence, everything that you need to convict someone.
This was pretty cut and dry that Mississippi went tampering and took tampering to the extreme, texting a player in class. That is enrolled at another school and convincing him to leave. Clemson, Dabo Swinney, they had their best case, and here we sit. I don't remember, what was that? That was January.
Yeah, it was January.
And everybody was like, "Oh, Clemson and Dabo are going to take him down," and here we sit, and it's almost like the situation got swept under the rug.
Crickets.
The NCAA is like, I didn't see. They got memory erased on it by one of the men in black. It's one of those situations where nobody recalls it, and it was as blatant a cheating as you could get, and then Golding had a few other incidents to start things right off.
Yeah, it was one of those things if they weren't going to get nailed for that, nobody's ever going to get nailed for anything. And here we are.
Yeah, 803-404-6100. Okay, that's how we'll carry the show here. Coming up next, Athlon has their bowl projections out. We'll tell you what that is for the University of South Carolina, and then let you make a decision whether that's good or bad. I know where the majority of y'all are going to go. You're going to say it's bad. I might be able to convince you it's not the worst thing in the world. We'll see. We'll talk about that when we come back. You're listening to The Halftime Show. one of the few times you'll ever hear me say that I have turned up the air conditioner in here.
That hot, huh?
Well, just to kind of make things better. So it feels good. Feels good. Glad to be in studio here. Bill Gunner, Tyler Head, Captain Dave out all week. He'll be back on Monday, and we get the family back together and get you set for SEC Media Day, which is 2 weeks away. But last night or yesterday, I guess, Athlon Sports to start the week puts out their bowl projections. I still love bowl projections. I still love bowl games. Just having it's kind of, to me, bowl games are kind of like World Cup soccer. They're on. You get some of them that are on in the middle of the afternoon. Tyler,
Sure.
I'll be honest. What was it? Switzerland and Colombia last night. I think
It was like yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, yesterday. Yeah. But anyway, I didn't care who won. It was a really great game. Went down to penalty
something to
kicks.
entertain you.
Right. Bowl games are about the same. That's how I look at bowl games. And then there's certain matchups that I'm like, oh, that might be kind of fun. I do think we still got to revamp the bowl system and do a lot there. But nonetheless, Athlon puts out their projections. Now, let me say this, Tyler. I know we have had this conversation. I am well aware that South Carolina fans, a lot of you, are playoff or bust. And the next group of you are essentially ReliaQuist, or I don't think a lot of people want to go to the ReliaQuist, but it's considered a top upper shelf bowl or Citrus, right?
Yeah.
That's
Gator, maybe.
Gator, maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Athlon, I think, has an intriguing bowl game. Now, I don't know who would play. I'm assuming Ledoris would not play. I'm assuming that Dylan Stewart would not play. I'm fine with these, by the way. I'm actually good with those guys not playing and allowing you to play younger players to get them a real game experience going into next year. So I would be okay with that. Also, I know a lot of you talk about, well, why am I going to travel why will I travel if the guys aren't going to play? Well, how about Nashville, Tennessee? Expensive, but this doesn't have a date on it, actually, the Athlon. I just realized that because I was going to say that is typically around the 29th, 30th, the 31st. So New Year's in Nashville taking on Nebraska. So you get to see Marcus Satterfield. You get to see Lonnie Teasley. You get to see Matt Rule. Let's just start with the matchup itself, and then I'm going to work my way to another reason why I would kind of be okay with this. But Nashville for New Year's, a reason to go there. All right, super expensive. Got to start saving now.
It is Wednesday, December 30th.
Perfect.
Yep.
That is perfect. You can go up on the 29th, catch the game on the 30th, do New Year's and New Year's Day, and come back on the 2nd. Couldn't ask for it to be any better. And they, by the way, if you haven't been paying attention the last few years, they've been broadcasting. I can't remember which station broadcasts the music note drop. I think that's what they do, is the music note.
Okay, makes sense.
And they have a huge country music concert that's just a bunch of the great acts. It looks really fun. I've actually watched more of that the last 2 years than I have the Rockin' Jockin' New Year's
Dick
Eve.
Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve, hosted by Ryan Seacrest.
Yeah, I've actually watched more of the Nashville one than I have, and they're also fun because for us it's like an hour. It's an hour behind, so
Right.
the ball drops for us, and they're still rocking for another hour. But Nebraska, all right, I'm okay with that. I like the matchup. I get it. Again, the likelihood of Stewart playing is zero. He ain't playing in a bowl game today in a playoff. Harbor, I don't know. Harbor may need to play. Sellers, same thing. Y'all got to remember, Sellers has another year of eligibility. Harbor does not. Harbor does not. He doesn't qualify for 5-5, right?
I don't think
he does.
So, because he played so much as a freshman.
Right. Yeah, but I mean 5-5 now. You could play.
Yeah,
technically a lot.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't think he qualifies.
I'm not 100% on all the new rules, but I think you're right.
But Sellers is a redshirt junior.
Correct.
Now you might say, well, if he has a bad year, he's portaling it up, and he's gonna go try his luck with someone else. That's totally understandable. But I'm good with that. I'm good with the opponent. Now, here's part number 2, Tyler, and then you offer me your thoughts. the way they do the bowl games now, I don't think you can just say, well, that means we go 7-5. They're looking to mix it up a little bit with the bowl games. South Carolina could conceivably be 9-3 and say, look, we've been to, if you don't get into the Citrus, Citrus kind of has their way a little bit more than anybody else. We don't want to go as 9-3 to the ReliaQuest. Let us go somewhere else. Let us go to the Gator. Let us go to we've never been to Nashville. And again, if you look at it from a traveling standpoint, quite frankly, where would you rather go? You have never been to Tampa or Nashville. I know Tampa's warm, and I'm sitting here complaining about being hot.
Sure.
But Nashville's a really fun town. You could be 9-3, miss out on a 12-team playoff, and still have the potential to go to Nashville, and I'd be happy with that.
Yeah. So, and you're actually right, because I'm in that mindset of looking at the Music City Bowl and thinking, all right, you're 6-6, they're 7-5. But Tennessee did go last year at 8-4. Missouri, in their 10-win season, 9 wins in the regular season, win as the number 23 team in the country 2 seasons ago. So, yeah, it has, because it used to be the pecking order, right? It used to be, all right, the Citrus Bowl, what was then the Outback Bowl, Gator Bowl, and on down the list, and Music City, Birmingham, those were a little bit more towards the bottom where, yeah, they were getting the 6-win teams in the SEC typically, but now it's more about the cities themselves. And look, bowl reps go to the games, and they're talking to athletic directors and stuff like that of like, hey, if you're kind of in that realm of teams that we can pick for a bowl, we'd like to have you because you bring this. We know your fan base is going to come, sell at the stadium, come to our city, and all those kind of things. So there are more factors that go into it. So it isn't a guarantee that the Music City Bowl says you're 6-6 or something like that. Could still be the case, but not 100%.
Well, and let me be clear about this, because the texter says if we end up going 7-5 and playing in Nashville for the Music City Bowl, there's absolutely no way I'm paying money to go up there and do that. Y'all can't look at bowl games like you used to. That's the, and I'm not picking on you, sir, or ma'am, whatever, but you got to look at it as like a trip, and Nashville's a trip. Like, look, if you offer me, and I'm just going to hypothetically, if you offered and you said South Carolina can be 9-3, but go to Charlotte, or they can be 7-5, but go to Music City, go to Nashville, and those are the choices. Let's just say those are the two choices. I'm like, and if you're not in the playoff, it's irrelevant to me anyway. I'd be like, give me 7-5 and give me Music City for New Year's. That's the way it is right now. It's irrelevant. If you're not in the playoff, there are certain instances, like in a South Carolina case, Tyler, where I think, getting a 10th win. That's why I actually thought was it
Citrus?
Was it the Citrus?
Is that Cheez-It Citrus Bowl?
Okay, yeah, that's why I thought it was, because South Carolina doesn't get many 10-win seasons, and that actually would have actually meant something. But I would prefer to go up. And he said, why would I go to Nashville whenever we play why wouldn't I just go to Nashville whenever we play Vanderbilt? Well, I have not been the last few times, but yes, I tend to do that. Yeah. You give me a chance to get to Nashville and throw in a little football, I'm all for it.
You also have the added benefit of it's a holiday, too, because, again, December 30th, so ties in a new year. So you can make a couple days out of it if you're already out of work and all that kind of stuff, as opposed to, all right, you're playing Vanderbilt in the middle of October. It's kind of a down, going back type of thing if you don't get the extended time off. So there's that element of it, too. From a fan enjoyment standpoint, that's something I think most people would go for. Again, it doesn't lock you into a specific record anymore, but if you weren't going to be in the playoff, which again is what everybody hopes they are, then that wouldn't be a bad place to land.
And let's be honest, if they're 7-5, we're having a whole kind of different discussion, which would be separate of, are you traveling, or are you taking a trip for New Year's, which is essentially what this is. I mean, again, I'm not sure, quite frankly, if right now, if you were to list out bowl destinations and you said record doesn't matter, quite frankly, Nashville would be probably number one on my list. And that's why I kind of would take it. I'm like, look, if you're not in the college football playoff, I don't really care. Orlando's cool. Yeah. Tampa, we've been to a lot. We're about to go back to in 2 weeks. Jacksonville's fine. It's not, give or take, it's fine. I'm not a huge fan of Charlotte, although it's growing on me a little bit because I'm doing some doctor stuff up there and having to go back up. But Nashville, even though I have to loan off, sell off one of my kids, those people are very proud of their their Coors Light that's like $15.
Oh, sure.
So 803-404-6100. We'll continue this conversation and roll along here. You're listening to the Halftime Show. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing, that company that's been there for you for over 30 years. The company that's been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry for over 30 years. And again, reason, customer service. That's right, being there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You don't know when a leak's going to happen. They don't know when a leak's going to happen. But what I do know and what they know is they're ready for it. If it happens at 1 a.m., at 2 a.m., whatever, 3 a.m., guess what? Mid-State Roofing is ready to take your phone call. An on-call technician will be waiting on you to help you with a maintenance contract and to get whatever issues taken care of for you. So give them a phone call, though. Be proactive and get a maintenance contract lined up. 803-356-1919. Again, that's 803-356-1919. That's how you can reach out to Mid-State Roofing today. Give them a phone call. They'll be ready to help you, and tell them Bill Gunner sent you. So would you? And it's the broader topic on this, Tyler, is where's your investment in going to bowls? And I'm not any record 6-6, 10-2. If you're not in the college football playoff and you're a fan, what is it that attracts you to the bowl game now? Like, for example, what I just gave is the destination.
Yeah.
And I got to admit, even though I don't know, even though the game may be watered down because certain players from both sides may not play, the matchup affects me too. And Nebraska would be a fun opponent. We played them in y'all remind me, I think the Capital One Bowl back during the Spurrier era. But Nebraska would be an attractive match. I'd be okay with that. That's a name brand team. I think you still do you still get cachet when you beat Nebraska? Or is those days long gone?
I think those days are long gone. And I think it's funny, kind of talking about records here. If like Nebraska was 6-6 going into this game against South Carolina, then you might not even be coaching against Matt Rhule. He may be canned by that point in time because he's 3 years in and he's 19-19. So that's another school that desperately needs a step back in the right direction, or else they're maybe looking for another coach.
No,
again.
didn't he sign because he was going to go to Penn State? Didn't he sign a pretty good extension in the offseason?
As we've learned, even extensions don't mean anything.
Well,
if they want to buy you out, they'll buy you out.
Well, I agree with you. We know. But I think his buyout is I have to look it up, is not cheap. But
if they really want him gone, they will find a way. As we saw.
Is Nebraska that kind of? I mean, look, LSU and Penn State for that matter. What Penn State did to James Franklin, but is Nebraska walking around with LSU money?
I've always heard they're not hurting in the NIL space. Now I don't think they're number one or top three, but I think they're doing all right.
They aren't firing him, and there's $71 million reasons why they aren't. You're right.
If it's bad enough, they can find a way.
He could, if he leaves for another job, he owes Nebraska $15 million, while the university would owe him an estimated $71 million. That would top both. Well, not combined, but that would top Kelly and James Franklin. That would be insane. But yeah, he signed in the offseason a 2-year extension through the 2032 season, which increased his exit buyout by $5 million to deter other schools from hiring him. So you're right. Listen, if he's in a bowl game, you're coaching against him. And if he's 2-10, then we'll have that discussion. But if he's 6-6 and in a bowl game, they aren't paying $61 million to get to let him go. But going back to the question, what is it about a bowl game that attracts you now, or are you just simply turned off? You're like, I can vacation anywhere, I'll get away from anything. But let me go back to finish my point on this. Mine is, if I wanted to go to a bowl game, destination is 1, opponent is number 2. Those are really my top 2 things.
Right.
Give me a fun destination. I'll be honest. Clemson and Penn State in Yankee Stadium last year, as much as we're sitting here talking about the heat and the cold, and that one was really cold, I would have been all over that if I was a Clemson fan, and you know how bad the season was. Why? A football game in Yankee Stadium would have been a lot of fun, I think. Penn State, I know, again, they were without James Franklin and everything, but I would have been all into that. Yes, I would have gladly gone to that game to see Yankee Stadium, to be in New York, to do all the fun things that are kind of involved with New York, and then again seeing a game at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, I think those are important factors. I mean, this is just for me. Proximity also matters too. So, and most of the bowl games that the SEC is involved with aren't terribly far away. Like the Texas Bowl, right, is one of them. Like, all right, that one's a little bit out there, but a bowl in Tennessee, a bowl in Florida, a bowl in, I'm trying to think of what other states you could have a bowl in. There's not a whole lot of options to pick from here. But for the most part, most of those bowls are pretty close. But if you get to like a Texas, I've seen a projection of them in the Armed Forces Bowl, which to my knowledge, the SEC doesn't have a tie to. I don't know how that would work. But that's in Annapolis, Maryland. Obviously, that's a little too far away, but things that are relatively close, Charlotte, obviously, with the Duke's Mayo Bowl, those are all fine from a proximity standpoint.
I'm trying to go back to the screen that I had with the bowl projections you had out there right here. I don't know. Is this a year where the SEC is tied in? Yes. All right. So never mind. So
you're right. You're right.
You just saw it.
Yep.
All right. Never mind. Music City's number 2 on my list. Number 1 is Vegas.
Yes, and it's the every other year thing because Florida played in it a couple years ago. Where yes, you have the opportunity this year potentially to play in the Las Vegas Bowl.
Vegas, you play at Allegiant Stadium. In this scenario, they have Arizona playing Tennessee, so you'd play Arizona. I'd be all for that. So and that's my opinion on what again drives now where we are with bowl games, because I don't care if you're 9-3, as I've said, or 6-6. They're all the same. And whether you want to go or not, again, I'm fully aware that guys are going to opt out, and the worse the record, the more likely they opt out, very likely. So, you know, I'm aware of that. I'm looking at almost how can I make it a small mini vacation for me and the kids. Who is the game against? Is it an opponent that's kind of interesting? I hate to say it, but we've seen so many ACC teams that, like, again, if you were going to Charlotte, which again is an easy drive, and let's just say South Carolina's 9-3, and they're going to Charlotte to play 8-4 NC State at Bank of America, I'd be out. I'd be like, no, I'm not going. But you give me 6-6 South Carolina in the Vegas Bowl against Arizona, say they're 7-5.
Yep.
I'm in. Let me get the plane tickets. Let me fire up the Caesars Rewards points, and we're heading to Vegas, and we're going to catch a game at Allegiant Stadium and hang out and do all the fun things there's. Maybe not the kids, but you get the point.
And Vegas and Nashville are two of those destinations where, like, it is more about the actual destination of the game. Yeah, the game is like the reason why you plan the trip, but you're more going to be entertained by what you're doing at the casinos or what you're doing at the bars in Nashville than the game itself, more likely than not.
Yeah, and that, again, that's the point to me. And in there, you throw it in a football game, and that'd be a lot of fun. 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in that. What would get you going to a bowl game? Destination, opponent? Is there anything that would do that? Link says, I'd take Myrtle Beach Bowl any year. Okay, all right.
I don't think Carolina can play in that bowl game.
No.
That's not a SEC-affiliated bowl.
No, but that's my point. I mean, I don't get it. That's why I'm asking. What do you got to do? Texter says we got to vote, or we got to vote with our dollars. Hey, University President, Board of Trustees, we demand that you do what it takes to make us competitive for the playoff. All right, it takes has nothing to do with the bowl games, so I'm not real sure what the point is there. The record, Tyler, and how South Carolina finishes is completely separate of the bowl game, and I say this because. We're going to have that record discussion between now and the start of the season because, as I've said, you can be much improved this year and be 7-5.
Yep.
And things cannot go your way. There can be injuries that occur. There's going to be a lot maybe that happens. We'll get back to that. Hold that text message, ma'am or sir. Hold that text message and save it for when we get into the record discussion as to how you feel about how the season should go and what the results should do to Shane Beamer at the very end. We'll get to that then. 803-404-6100, how you can weigh in. We'll finish up this bowl discussion by going over a few other ones. And who does Athlon have playing for the national championship? You're listening to The Halftime Show. Texter, same texter. The fact that you're trying to sell fans on going to a substandard bowl says everything about you, Billy. I think your thing must be doing the same thing. Your text message. You're not listening. You're a bad listener. Texter.
Did anybody call you Billy, by the way?
Yes, that's in the the Georgia side.
Okay.
way down the Georgia side, out in Elberton, where everybody's an Illy. Everybody's got a Y on their last name.
Gotcha.
You'd be Tylee.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're not getting the point, ma'am or sir. You're missing it completely. Like, the goal is the playoff, and the coach said as much. But 12 teams get in the playoff. And just because you don't get, now you could be like Notre Dame. If you want to take your approach is fine. Your approach is fine if you're going to be like Notre Dame and take your ball and go home. Right? Are you with me, Tyler?
Yeah.
Like, this texter's approach, which if that's what you want, is fine. I'm not going to argue with. That's your opinion. But I clearly stated, and this is why your listening stinks, texter. I clearly stated the record was irrelevant. You can be 9-3 and go to the Music City Bowl. You pointed, Tyler used an example. Missouri did, and you said Missouri was ranked 23rd?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yep.
I'm just talking about a vacation, folks. I'm just tying it in with football because I love football. I love the Gamecocks. But if they're going to Birmingham, no, I'm not going. If they're going to Charlotte, no, I'm not going. I don't care if their record's 10-2 and they somehow miss the playoffs. I'm not going to Charlotte.
I'd go to Charlotte just because it's close and I can get there and get back and, the same day, don't have to buy a hotel and stuff like that. Like, the proximity there is very easy and convenient, even though, all right, you're playing the Duke's Mayo Bowl and I don't know who you're playing against, Virginia or something like that.
That's what I'm saying. It's an ACC team. It's one that, probably just for funsies, what they would do. They would make you play North Carolina. Tired of seeing that. But you're right. Virginia Tech is no longer new. We played them last year. Georgia Tech, does Georgia Tech pique your interest? Florida State's not where they were.
From the standpoint of it's a unique matchup, sure. Those are teams that Carolina just doesn't really see. Yeah, sure, that could be interesting. But yeah, like if it's North Carolina, Virginia Tech. All right, we've seen that a lot in general, but more recently too. Maybe that's not quite as intriguing.
Speaking of the playoff, Athlon. So Athlon's got their playoff set up here, and the first round games on campus starts with number 5 Indiana against Boise State. Are you in on that?
Yeah, I think that could be fun.
Okay. Number 6 seed Oregon taking on Texas Tech. Yeah. By the way, I'm shocked. Athlon put these out 23 hours ago. I really am shocked that you would still have Texas Tech in the college football playoff given their current situation. I would go with another Big 12 team.
Oh, you don't think Texas Tech can make the playoff?
I don't know.
I still think they're probably the best team in the Big 12.
Okay.
Outside of the quarterback situation.
All right. No, I do not. Oregon, Texas Tech, that game would be in Eugene. Miami, LSU. Yeah?
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Miami, and down in Miami. And the last first-round game would be Oklahoma and Texas A&M, which, cool, whatever, but I hate that. I hate the conference rematches, kind of like Alabama, Oklahoma last year, but it would be Oklahoma hosting again against A&M. So that would be their 5 through 12, Tyler. That is their 5 through 12. 5, Indiana, 6, Oregon, 7, Miami, 8, Oklahoma, 9, 12.
They didn't put the 9 through 12 numbers on there.
You can do the math on it. 12 would be Boise State, 11 would be Texas Tech, 10 would be LSU, and 9 would be Texas A&M. 1 through 4, Ohio State is number 1. Just this projection, by the way, I'm just going to read it to you just for funsies. The Rose Bowl, Ohio State in the quarters would get Oklahoma. So they got Oklahoma beating A&M. That would be in Pasadena. Texas, the number 3 seed, getting Oregon in the Cotton Bowl. Georgia, the 2 seed, getting number 7 Miami in the Peach Bowl. I'll sign up for that. And Fiesta Bowl, Notre Dame and Indiana. That would be in Glendale.
Those all sound pretty fun.
Okay. Semifinals, Miami going back to the Orange Bowl, Ohio State, Notre Dame. and Sugar Bowl SEC matchup, Georgia and Texas.
Those are matchups we've seen quite a bit over the years, so there's not as much spice to those, I feel like.
Yeah.
They'll be good games, but it's not. The thing about an expanded playoff is, to me, is it presents the opportunity to see teams face each other that we just don't see a whole lot. We just had a Notre Dame-Ohio State national championship. Georgia and Texas have played a bunch of times in the 2 years that Texas has been in the conference so far. So not interesting from a new matchup standpoint necessarily, but would be probably good games.
The championship game would be Ohio State and Georgia. I think I can get on board with that.
Yeah.
I think I can get on board. So that is what Athlon has for their playoff and their national championship.
Yeah, and again, it'd probably be a good game between two really good, very talented teams that would probably end up coming down to the wire. So, yeah, and that's what I root for in a national championship. I want a fun game that keeps me engaged like Indiana and Miami did this past year.
Yeah, I got to admit, the semifinal games, you're right. Notre Dame, Ohio State, I would probably be out. I would probably be bored. And then Georgia, Texas, I really don't want to see another SEC showdown. Give me something like Texas, Notre Dame, and Ohio State, Georgia, or, Texas, Ohio State, although we've already got one of those coming up this year in week 2. So, anyway, point being is there's their playoff. I am a little shocked. Just quick thoughts on this, just because it's that time of year. Miami at a 7 seed? Little surprised by that. Thought they'd be a little bit higher.
I mean, yeah, they're kind of the really heavy favorite to win the ACC. So maybe 7's a little low. I don't know. They did have a couple of surprising losses last year. So
yeah, a good run though in the playoff. Our number 2 on the way. We will revisit some soccer. A particularly nice, fun, entertaining goal yesterday that we must rehear. Just not in English. We'll tell you about it. It's the Halftime Show.
All right, here for our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialists. Tell you about it all the time. But I remind you once again, you always need to be on lookout. Things around your home that are a little bit off. Things like cracks in your exterior brick, cracks in and above windows and door frames, doors or windows that might be sticking, uneven or bouncy floors, or cracks over your garage door. If you notice any of these problems with your home, you could have serious foundation issues. And that's where our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialists come in. Go online to schedule your appointment today at cantycanfixit.com. They'll send a professional out to your home to evaluate your foundation problems and get them fixed so your family can live worry-free going forward. Again, don't hesitate. These problems will only continue to get worse. Go online to cantycanfixit.com. Let our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialists help you out with your home's foundation needs.
It is the show of the 803, your show of the 803, the halftime show. Bill Gunner, Tyler Head, Terry Ford stepping in to help us out just a little bit for 2 hours. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we'll check in on Mississippi as we continue our little summer SEC tour and investigate how are things down in Oxford. Have they set a new standard now? Guys, y'all weren't around for this. And I'd be interested to hear somebody, and I'm debating. I think the texter is upset with me, but I'm debating. Our conversation about the bowl games wasn't about records or expectations. It was about what is it that would make you travel to a bowl game. But did Mississippi just go through what South Carolina went through from 2009 to 2013? Where South Carolina, now 2009, am I right? I get my years a little messed up as I'm getting older. 2009, I believe, is the year we won the SEC East.
No, 2010.
2010. Okay.
Yeah, 2010.
All right. You're right. 2009 was the first win over Clemson. 2010 through 2013, they won nine wins and then 3 11-win seasons. And I'm not saying that this is a bad thing, that your expectations change, right?
Yeah.
That you're like, we can do this. Oh, we can, us little tiny school can do this and win. We can win here. Mm-hmm. And that's perfectly fine. And I'm not trying to tell anybody that they should have low expectations and that winning 8 or 9 games is not a realistic expectation. South Carolina should realistically win at least 8 games just about every year. Then you have one bad year where there's injury, something happens, things fall off. It's going to happen. But did Mississippi just go through a stretch where Lane Kiffin, where now anything less than 9 wins, they're upset? Because it felt like when Lane Kiffin went there, if you just won 7 or 8,
sure,
you partied in the Grove, did a little hotty-toddy, had a good time, dressed up a little bit. Hey, it was a great Saturday. It felt like that was the way in South Carolina before really Steve Spurrier arrived. And Spurrier won a lot, and now everybody goes, hey, we can do that. We can be that team. We can finish number 4 in the country. Shane Beamer got them to within, 2 rankings, 2 spots of the college football playoff?
2 or 3.
Is that right?
Yeah. I think they were 15.
Hey, we can do that. We can do that. And now the expectation changes to where I've tried to say, hey, this year, you're playing a same schedule as usual. Tough. Mm-hmm. It's going to be tough. South Carolina is no better than 5 of the teams on the schedule, and they're probably even with 2 of them in Florida and Tennessee, and maybe Clemson too. But you're no better. You're definitely no better than Alabama, Oklahoma, Georgia, and Texas A&M. You still can win the games,
of course.
Just if you're just playing a simulated game on paper, those teams would win. That doesn't mean that's how it always works. But the point being is now if South Carolina goes 7-5, people are going to be upset. That's fine. That's a good attitude to have.
Sure.
So if South Carolina doesn't win the national championship in women's basketball,
people are upset.
It's a great way to look at it. It's a great attitude to have. Is Mississippi now in that boat?
Probably. Because, again, you're right. When Lane Kiffin got there, that was a school that historically had good runs, but never anything like national championship good. Didn't they retroactively give themselves a national championship back in the 60s? No, they had that one great season, but they weren't officially awarded a national championship, but I think they recognized themselves as that. Regardless, it's not a school that's had a ton of, championship level success. I don't believe they've ever won the SEC, at least in the SEC championship era going back 30 years. So, the expectations when he came in weren't insanely high, but when you win 10-plus games in 4 out of the past 5 years, the team makes the playoff last year, that's going to readjust how people look at things. And for a guy like Pete Golding, especially considering the fact that he came in and carried the team through the playoffs and almost made the national championship, he's not being looked at in the same way as a John Summerall, as some of these other coaches coming in for year number 1 at SEC schools. Like, hey, man, you've already proven to us you can beat some of the best teams in all of college football. You should hit the ground running, and we should still be in the mix with the talent that you have on the roster, with the guys you have coming back, led by Trinidad Chandler at quarterback. There should be no, getting up to speed period. This should just be the train that keeps on rolling. So I do think you're right. I think now expecting a national championship, I don't think they're quite there yet, but they're like, hey, we should win double-digit games and be in the playoff now. That's what Ole Miss football should be. That's probably how they look at it.
Yeah, and again, now let me go back to just kind of using it as our staple for today, there's Ole Miss. They got a lot of people back. Obviously, a new quarterback, but spent very well in the portal again, changing of coaches. This Athlon Bowl projection has them in the Citrus Bowl against Michigan. Has them in the Citrus Bowl. So, again, Athlon, if you're just kind of gauging it, has them winning 8, 9, maybe 10 games, not getting into the playoff, missing it there. That, though, is a team that I find very interesting in the SEC because, again, I think the expectations have changed, much like some people are now with South Carolina. But Pete Golding's never had to really run a program like this.
Well, and comparing it back to what Spurrier did in the early 2010s here at South Carolina, it was a proving that, hey, these kind of things can happen here. And yes, it's more wide open now because of NIL. And hey, if you have enough money to be able to spend, any school can turn into something great, like we've obviously seen with Indiana. But very much in the same way what Spurrier did at Carolina, Kiffin to a degree did at Ole Miss, saying, hey, you can actually be really good here. You can compete with the big dogs. You can be in the mix for playoff spots, the SEC title, and all that kind of stuff. And that's where I think people, as you transition from Kiffin to Pete Golding, look at that and say, okay, well, we should just keep on being this type of team now. Again, are they going to be ready to fire Pete Golding if they go to the Citrus Bowl? No. Because, again, I don't think they are as bloodthirsty for a national championship yet because they haven't gotten to that point just yet. But they expect to be around that 9-10 win playoff type team on a year in, year out basis now.
Of course, one thing we'll talk to them about is week 3 when LSU comes to town. What kind of security coverage was it? Because you two remember, like, how many years ago was it that Tennessee fans finally got Lane Kiffin back in Neyland Stadium?
It's 2-3 years ago and threw the mustard on the golf balls.
And the golf balls. And what do you think Mississippi's going to do to him?
We need to ask where the team hotel is that LSU is going to be staying at. Will you need the military to surround it to keep the Ole Miss faithful from breaking in and killing Lane Kiffin?
It's a night game. You stay in Baton Rouge and you come over that morning. I know it's unconventional, but
real quick, typically when they show like teams arriving to other team stadiums, the players getting off the bus, they're kind of walking through an area. There'll be some fans there. Can they let Lane Kiffin walk around unprotected at any point during that trip? Even like getting off the bus to walk in the locker room. Like, is there a serious health threat to him if he's exposed at any point that weekend?
It's a night game. Bill, why does it matter? It's a night game. Those people have been tailgating since, like, Wednesday.
The Grove is going to be groving like it's never groved before.
Like, you're going to have – did y'all ever see it's on the Saturdays in the South thing? And I would love for Lane Kiffin to do this, and this would be so perfect for Lane Kiffin. Back in the 60s when Georgia Tech was in the SEC, Alabama played Georgia Tech, and an Alabama player got accused. There was a great player for Georgia Tech, and an Alabama player blocked him on, like, the opening play. I'm just going to use years, in, like, 67. And smashed his face, broke his face, ended his career, like changed his life. And Georgia Tech basically looked at Alabama, and the Georgia Tech fan base is like, y'all play renegade football. You're dirty, you play dirty, your coach is a dirty coach, all of that. And Johnny Unitas was the coach. Then so Alabama goes to Georgia Tech the next year.
Okay.
And, no, I'm sorry, not Johnny Unitas. Joe Namath. Unitas went to Louisville.
Yeah.
Joe Namath is the quarterback. Alabama lost 7-6. But trying to ease tension, Bear Bryant walked onto the field. They had a picture of him wearing a helmet. For fear of like what was going to happen. I would pay money for Lane Kiffin to walk on with like an LSU helmet or like something. I don't know if he's going to take the risk of inciting. He knows what he's doing inciting.
Lane Kiffin needs a Pope mobile. Or he's just like in a glass box.
On the sideline?
Yeah, well, okay, we can get him like a Segway with like a glass thing around it so he can just go up and down the sidelines.
Yeah.
And he's protected. You know what I mean? Like we got to think outside the box here. Because this man's health has never been in more danger than it will be in Oxford, Mississippi in week 3.
By the way, Mississippi plays Louisville to start the season in Nashville. By the way, I would go to that. I'd go to it's Nashville.
You would watch 2 0-11 teams play each other in Nashville in late November.
I'd go watch the Titans.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah. They're getting a new stadium though. Because am I correct on this? Like the Titan Stadium is considered the worst in the NFL.
Yeah, it's low on the list.
Right.
It's been Nissan Stadium's been around for a while. Doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles to it. So yeah, it's probably in the low end.
803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in. Yesterday, it really truthfully was one of the great moments in World Cup history. Like, absolutely phenomenal. Egypt's up 2-0. Messi scores a goal to make it 2-2. Argentina would win the game. And if you haven't heard this, now, soccer commentating is different anyway. This does lose a little luster because you can't visually see the commentator.
Yeah.
And there is a level of seeing the commentator that you've got to see. But is this going to be number 2?
Yes,
here?
number 2.
All right. Terry, let's hear the Telemundo call of the Met. Now, trying to keep up with all this and don't let it get to your heart too much and get too excited. Here is the Telemundo call of the Lionel Messi goal yesterday.
Otra vez Messi, se desvía la pelota que cae al área. No pudo Julián Messi. ¡Gol!
It's a dying goat, man.
Somebody called 911.
No, the funny part, I watched that. The funny part is, did you watch the video?
The commentator?
Yes.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you got to see the video. He does all that, and that's normal and regular, and he's screaming and everything. But he gets to that final one, and he just takes off his headset and puts the mic, and you can tell he's done. He has exhausted himself, and the look on his face and everything is like, we still got, I don't know, there was still like 8 minutes left plus stoppage time, and you can tell he's like, you can just look at him.
That's it. I'm done. I'm cooked.
I was getting in pain listening to it.
I mean,
my God. Jeez.
there is I'm just going to give a shout out to Hale McGranahan. There's a great article in the Big Spur or Gamecocks 247 about Todd Ellis's recruitment back in the day. Incredible. They're doing a great series. And I say that because Todd, first touchdown this year, first one. That's what we need. We need that kind of energy. You bring a lot of energy as it is, Mr. Ellis.
All the air in your lungs. That guy had no breath left in his body by the end of that.
He is. I think the face of that commercial, which I don't know what it is now, but where they're all going up to the medicine line and asking for throat lozenges.
Yes.
He is that guy. 803-404-6100. We come back. Yancey Porter of Rebel Yell joined us. It's the halftime show. It is 1:19 on a Wednesday, July the 8th. Slowly counting down the days until SEC Media Day. It's about 2 weeks away from that, a little less than 2 weeks if you count going to Monday. Probably about 4 weeks away from the start of practice for everybody, and 8 weeks from today, we'll really be fired up. It'll be a game week, and I'll be in here shirtless, just running around, just ready to go, fired up, talking about tailgating plans, all kinds of crazy stuff. But right now we're doing our summer pre-SEC Media Day look around at what's been going on in a lot of teams. And as I've said multiple times in the show already, maybe none more interesting than Mississippi and new coach Pete Golding. And join us now from Rebel Yell Hotline is the one and only Yancey Porter. And Yancey, they say that there's a game on September 19th in Oxford at 7 o'clock that is going to have a little bit of significance to the Ole Miss fans.
Yeah, you worry about it being put out too much, right? I'm more concerned for Ole Miss on that following weekend going to Florida. If there's ever been a labeled trap game, that's it. You don't want Ole Miss to put too much focus on one game. Obviously, with the fans, it will be. The players, and the current coaches, because most of them were on the staff for Lane. So it's unavoidable, I think. But, yeah, it's going to be a huge game.
So we were talking about this a few minutes ago that, when Kiffin came to Ole Miss, the expectations weren't exactly super high. Comes in there, starts winning 10-plus games a season. Obviously does enough to get the team to the playoff last year before he dips out. But he kind of proved, hey, you can have success at Ole Miss on a consistent basis. And obviously Pete Golding was able to get this team a few inches away from playing for the national championship in his first couple games as a head coach. Where do you set expectations now? Is this a fan base that now expects to be in the playoff every single year going forward, or how do they look at this?
Yeah, obviously this season you 100% do. I think anything less than a championship game appearance will be a disappointment from the Ole Miss fan base, right or wrong. Those expectations this season. Moving forward after that, we'll just have to see. But the way that Pete Golding is recruiting right now, it probably will be. I think there was a belief amongst the national media from Kiffin's camp that Ole Miss was kind of operating at 100% capacity under him. And then we've seen Pete take the recruiting up a level or two. If there's one chink in the armor for Lane, as great as a coach he is, on the field, X and O, everything to do with coaching, his kryptonite is recruiting. He's just he's not a good recruiter. He's not a good people's person. And he's just kind of lazy in recruiting. I think that's why he's done well in the portal, because those players are more focused on development for the NFL immediately, and you don't have to recruit in a week or two. And so there wasn't a lot of time spent in the high school ranks with Lane Kiffin, and now Pete, has flipped the coin, and Ole Miss has, got 14 four-star commitments right now already, which was obviously, I think, double more than any under Lane Kiffin's tenure.
He is Yancey Porter joining us from Rebel Yell Hotline. You can check him out on Twitter at Yancey, Y-A-N-C-Y, Porter, P-O-R-T-E-R. You mentioned that Ole Miss right now nationally, not just in the SEC, but nationally, 14th in recruiting. Let's move to the team here. We'll get to the offense in just a second. Defensively, I think that's the question. What did this team bring back? What have they got? Because we know that there's going to be firepower with Chambliss and Lacey on offense, but what are we looking at defensively for this team?
Well, in 2014, Miss led the country in points per game scored, and then in 2015 they had a dip. Right, that's where they really got beat by Miami. They got out physical at the line of scrimmage there. They wore down, and that's where they really spent a lot of time and money in the portal and the high school class on defense. And everybody knows Chambliss and Lacey on the offense, but I think really where Ole Miss is going to hang their hat this season, ironically, is going to be defense. I suspect this defense this year will be top 5 in the country.
You mentioned Trinidad Chambliss coming back for another year again. He wasn't even supposed to be the guy to lead the team most of last year until Austin Simmons got hurt, and then he just kind of never relinquished the job after that. What's been the focus for him this offseason, and what is he trying to improve on as he goes into year number 2 as the starter?
Well, most people don't realize Trinidad did not get eligible until July of last year. And so, and it wasn't that he had bad grades, but there were classes that he had to take to transfer from a D2 program to a D1 program. So he never gone through a spring practice at Ole Miss, never went to summer drills at Ole Miss. I think it was July 27th when he was eligible. So he didn't even get into 07-07s he played during the summer ball at Ole Miss. So this is his first time actually practice, right, before the season starts. And believe it or not, from the coaches I've talked to, said he's the most improved player on the team. And that's kind of scary to think about. So he's got a spring reps under his belt. He's getting, the summer drills under his belt right now. I think really the big thing with Trinidad is focusing on inside the 5-yard line. That's where the height really kind of played a disadvantage to him last season. Completing passes when everybody's jammed in there in the line of scrimmage. I think that's where he's really focused on this all season.
And he is Yancey Porter joining us from Rebel Yell Hotline. New offense coordinator there, a guy that I really like. South Carolina was looking for an offense coordinator. Back then in December, I didn't think Kendall Briles was much of an option. John David Baker, I had watched some of his stuff at East Carolina. That was actually kind of one of my top choices for South Carolina. Well, he goes to Mississippi. How big of a difference, or what have you heard as a difference, or is there any difference between he and what Charlie Weiss Jr. and Lane Kiffin were kind of doing?
Well, JDB, he had worked with Lane and Charlie for 3 years as the co-offensive coordinator with Rice. And Charlie was the offensive coordinator, but it's a lot of the same wrinkles. He's added a few different wrinkles when he was over there at East Carolina, but it's going to be a very similar offense, up-tempo, spread it out. Really rely on the running game, really rely on the tight ends. Maybe the tight ends will be a little bit more focal point. Not that Lane Kiffin didn't use the tight ends, as we all know he did, but I think you see a little bit more action to the tight ends. And, Ole Miss really they didn't have depth running back last season. And they feel like they've got a 3-man rotation now that is as good as anybody in the country.
One of those guys is Kwan Lacey, who's back. Is he a junior this year? Is he a junior or sophomore?
Yeah, he'll be a junior.
Junior, okay. That's what I thought.
Well, actually, he'll be a sophomore because he played in a couple games for Missouri, but he's a junior in eligibility, and chances of him not going in the pro draft are slim to none.
What is eligibility?
I was about to say, that was a stupid question on my part. And that's why I asked it, because I was like, I don't know some of these kids these days. But you mentioned that rotation, that three-headed.
It's hard to keep up with. Don't you worry about it. It really is. 4 games at any point in the season. Some kids are playing 6, 7, 8 seasons now. When is anybody out of the eligibility? It's like.
About 2 minutes left, and I want to get to one other question before I let you go. But last year, Kwan Lacey had 306 carries. The next running back had 33. You mentioned that rotation, and I think that's a big thing there. How does that? You mentioned bringing in 2 other guys. How does that look right now for Mississippi?
Well, they don't want to give him the ball 30 times a game. And we saw him get dinged up at the end of last year, starting the Tulane game, and then on that long touchdown run against Miami, where he basically was a decoy the next 3.5 quarters. So he was wore out by the end of the season, and trying to get that down to 17 to 20 carries. Right, they're going to run the ball a lot, and that's the thing about this offense. People think it's just spread it out, throw the ball over the field, which they do that a lot, but they've been the top 3 in SEC in rushing the last 7 years in a row. So they're going to run the ball a lot, and they got a guy at Michigan State that ran for close to 1,000 yards last year. That was a freshman over there. He's a 230-pound back. And then they've got a freshman that's a 6'2", 230-pound back, a redshirt freshman that they feel really good about. So they're gonna share the rock, so to speak, this season, and not give it to Lacey 30 times a game.
Final one, real quick, about 30 seconds. Word association here, and this is old, but I'm just kind of curious. word association. If I say Juice Wells, what do Mississippi fans think of?
Disappointment.
Okay. I just I know how fans. He's still a topic up here
that
occasionally.
Would be number one. I mean, he had a ton of ability, but state hurt. A lot of the same issues he had over there at South Carolina.
Yeah, he still talked about here, and I just wondered what his thought was. Yancey, we always appreciate it, buddy. I look forward to catching up with you maybe at media day or afterwards and getting ready for the season.
You bet. I hope you and your listeners have a blessed day. Y'all take care.
You too.
Thanks.
Take care. We'll come back and discuss some of that. It's the Halftime Show. I never want to be. I'm going to give y'all my opinion. That's what I come to do a radio show. I give you my opinion, but I'm not trying to tell you anybody how to think or what you should expect. If you think South Carolina, I might think you're crazy. But if you think South Carolina should go 12-0 and nothing less, that's your prerogative. I'm not trying to tell you otherwise. I will explain my side and why I disagree, but I'm not going to tell anybody how to think. So far be it for me to say Mississippi fans are crazy, but what did you make, Tyler, of that comment, like that Mississippi fans are like, and again, I asked you and Terry during the break, did he say national championship win or national championship game?
The way I thought it was game, like an appearance in the national championship, which would be one step further than he got last year, because again, they were in the game late and almost made it by beating Miami, but came up a little bit short. So in his mind, it's okay, we came close last year, now we're taking that next step forward of at least playing for the national championship now.
Okay.
I think it was national championship game.
All right. So if that is the Mississippi mindset, is that like ludicrous? Is that do you look at that as an outside fan base and go, yeah, okay, that's justified. I can see them doing that. Do you go, oh, that fan base is they've already started tailgating and they're partying too hard?
I see where they come to that conclusion.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
All right.
Because, and again, you have Chambliss, you have Lacey, you got a lot of talent coming back from a year ago. We don't know everything about Pete Golding as head coach because you saw such a small sample size of it. But in those couple games, he at least proved that, hey, he can still win with a very talented team, much like Lane Kiffin was doing. So I understand how they come to that conclusion. If I'm an Ole Miss fan, should I be distraught and insanely mad if they made the playoff and lost in the first round? Not really, because historically that's not something you've been in the realm of doing. It would have only been your second playoff appearance ever. So I think making the national championship or bust is a little too lofty, but I understand how they might come to that conclusion, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm look, again, if that's the expectation, I was a little surprised when he said that. Let me ask you this, off the cuff. Just off the cuff. You don't have time to think about this. Where would you put Mississippi in the SEC this year? Just you can ballpark it. You can say 5th, 6th, 7th, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 2nd, 3rd, 4th.
Probably like 4th, maybe, just without really thinking about it.
Okay.
Just kind of randomly off the top of my head, probably about 4th.
Who you have right now, today? Who do you take in that LSU Mississippi game?
Ole Miss.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
without a doubt.
Because that would decide a little bit. I mean, to me, again, if you're talking Mississippi, I'd have A&M ahead of them. I'd have Georgia ahead of them. I'd have Texas ahead of them. And then that's right there where you just said 4th. Are they better than Alabama? Are they better than LSU? Are they better than Oklahoma? I forgot Oklahoma, so I'd have them 5th. I'd have them 5th at bare minimum.
Which, hey, that's still good enough to make the playoff.
Yeah.
More likely than not.
So we'll see, but very interesting to hear there from Yancey Porter. The expectation, because it's not the same, but it's kind of the same when we get to the conversation, and we will get to it. There's still plenty of time. How many days left? How many?
59.
59 days. 59 days till kickoff. We will get to the conversation on what is expected this year, and I know there are becoming very strong feelings on whether 7-5 is not a success. I'm not trying to say it's a success, but what 7-5 leads to. Like, does 7-5 lead to? Well, we got to have. Are you one of those people out there that think 7-5 leads to? Well, we got to have a coaching search.
Mm-hmm.
Are you one of those people that say, well, 7-5 is the 3-game improvement? Are you one of those people that say 7-5 is about right for South Carolina on a yearly basis? We will get to that conversation because it is a huge year when it comes to that. Because the head coach has already come out and told us that we should be expecting to look and see where we're ranked in the playoff rankings come November.
Well, as I said many times, it's how you get there, too. Like, all right, 7-5 just on the surface level, okay, that's better than you were last year by 3 games, but, like, were those 5 losses by an average of 30 points? Were you losing those games in the final minutes or in overtime? Like, there's a lot of ways you can dissect that in terms of how we're going to feel if that ends up being the end result of the season this year.
Yeah, It'll that conversation is coming. We're going to stay away from it for a little bit longer and allow things to kind of play out. But I get it because it's, I'm one of those people that looks at this schedule and as I've said, it's not that I think South Carolina's bad. It's that the margin for error is so slim. And I'll go back to last year, Tyler. Go back to last year. 4-8, looking at 4-8 is pathetic. It is absolutely pathetic. And they would tell you that down there.
Yeah.
But as you said, how did you get there? Well, you're in 6 of the 7 losses. Was it 7 of 8? 7 of 8, am I right on that?
In the fourth quarter?
Right.
Yeah, Oklahoma and Vandy were the only 2 games where you weren't
Vandy.
Within a score, I believe, in the fourth quarter.
6 points or had the lead.
Or had the lead.
Because they had the lead against Missouri. People forget about something like that. So you lose 6 of 8 where you are in position to win. And if you just split those games, now you're 7-5, and maybe we're thinking a little bit differently about what you did. Yeah, it's a step back from 9-3. I only say that because, again, like you said, it's how you get there.
Yeah.
And it's if you want to tell me, Gunner, this is the best South Carolina team I think we've ever had, 10-2 is the least he can do. Okay, that's your pride. That's your opinion. I'm not going to argue with you. I think this is a really interesting football team for South Carolina, but I find it interesting now when you start to talk about other fan bases. Kind of like, look, LSU, and we're going to have a LSU writer on probably next week is I think what I'm lining up. LSU's flat out saying it's national championship or bust.
Yeah.
Like if we don't win a national championship, it's because something freakish. Sam Levitt broke his foot again, or there's a rash of injuries, or like LSU fans are basically like it's national championship or bust. Texas is another one, and that's why I keep saying it's not that Sarkisian's going to be fired if he goes 10-2 or 9-3. It's that he will have failed with the money they spent and what they've given him to go and win a national championship.
Yeah, it's like I think if Texas doesn't win the national championship this year, I think a lot of that fan base starts to say, okay, we have a ceiling, right? Like Sark, as great of a play caller as he is, and as good of a head coach as he is, he's not a guy that's going to break through and win a national championship because he hasn't been able to do it up to this point, even though he's come close in terms of playing for the national championship. And that's kind of what happens the longer down the road you get with this. Like, hey, every coach to some degree has a ceiling. Some of them, it's a national championship. Some of them, it's deep runs in the playoffs. Some of them, it's just making the playoffs. And if you're at one of those schools where you're routinely spending a lot of money, bringing in great talent year in and year out, and not getting the grand prize at the end of it, at some point you just say, okay, this is just kind of who we are, and we're going to have to accept it. Now, again, the thing with Lane Kiffin at at LSU is he's coming in, A, with all the money and controversy coming over from Ole Miss, but B, perhaps the best roster he's ever coached before ever in his college career as a head coach. And saying, okay, well, if you could take an Ole Miss team and get them into the playoff, you have a better team this time around, hypothetically speaking, when it comes to the roster. You should be able to go further with that.
We'll continue talking about this. We'll talk a little Big 12 media days taking place right now as we speak. I'm kind of reading. I think it looks like, I don't think that was an old tweet. It looks like Colin Klein, the Kansas State coach.
They really front-loaded. It was most of the interesting coaches yesterday.
Yeah.
And today it's kind of like, all right, everybody else, you go ahead and speak.
Yeah, Brett McMurphy put out that tweet just 10 minutes ago. Colin Klein talking right now for Kansas State. So we'll get to a little bit of what's being said out at Big 12 Media Day when we come back. You're listening to the Halftime Show.
All right, welcome back in. Halftime show. Tyler, Bill, Terry on your Wednesday here on the game. We'll get back into what's been said so far at Big 12 Media Days in just a moment. But real quick, the Ticket Fairy has informed me we have another family 4-pack of tickets to go see Santana and the Doobie Brothers tonight up at True Lion Amphitheater up in Charlotte. Show starts at 7 o'clock. We're going to have you text in for this one. So text in at 803-404-6100. First person text in with your name and say, I want tickets. We'll give them to you, again, on our text line at 803-404-6100. Again, Santana and the Doobie Brothers tonight at True Lion Amphitheater in Charlotte. Text in for your chance to win.
We are efforting Steve Fink to get him on in the next few weeks to kind of go behind the scenes. He did an interview with our buddy Jamie Bradford, and in it he talks a little bit about prepping coaches, prepping Will Muschamp, prepping Shane Beamer for like press conferences. Do you two think anybody prepped Brett Yormark on what might be asked?
No, clearly not.
Well, whoever prepped him needs fired.
Yeah.
Right? Oh,
Like-
my God. It's awful. You're the commissioner, bro.
Here is Brett Yormark yesterday. We'll start with the first part, being asked about Brendan Sorsby.
Today's not the time to address that issue. Today is about celebrating the upcoming football season and celebrating our 16 schools.
Cool, right? Cool. Texas Tech reporters didn't want to have any of that, though. They're upset. They're salty. Thinking their quarterback, their $5 million quarterback, should play. It got a little escalated. Here's Yormark and a Texas Tech reporter in a bit of a testy exchange.
Ask that question again, and I'm going to give you the answer I want to give you, so go ahead.
Texas Tech got fined for tortillas, and tortillas were banned outright. OSU has had paddles that were given a noisemaker exemption back in 2012. Sorsby never played a snap for the Red Raiders, and yet there is a lawsuit. Cincinnati has yet to be touched. You're selling greater than 12. Why should Texas Tech fans believe them?
No, I didn't say greater than 12. You misquoted me. I said we're going forward as 16 strong, and that's my answer to your question. But thank you for that question. Appreciate it.
Gentleman in the black.
I've never heard tortillas pronounced that way.
Well, it's funny because he went a long way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he asked like 5 questions.
Well, no, because he starts with, for those that don't, the tortilla thing I've already forgotten. I don't know.
Tortillos.
Tortillos?
Tortillos. Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Hey, you guys keep up with that.
Catch up, Bill.
New food. I don't know.
Some of those like gluten-free things or something. I don't
something
know.
weird dietary.
Yeah, that's what they were serving yesterday at lunch for Big 12 Media Day. But then, I don't know what he's talking about, the paddles.
Yeah, something with Oklahoma State and some paddle thing. I don't know. They didn't do much of that because they've sucked the last couple of years. So, but yeah, I guess it's basically saying that there's a double standard, and poor old Texas Tech is getting beat up by the conference. So why should they be all in?
Yeah. Well, where are they going to go?
Everyone's lined up.
Oh yeah. A lot is going on out there. I mentioned Terry. I don't know if you heard at the very beginning of the show. Yesterday was a sad day at Big 12. It was really actually today and yesterday. Really sad day. And really it's a sad day for college football, too.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, truly is. We didn't lose. They got fired. But in terms of us, the media and fans, we don't have a great quote maker right now in Mike Gundy
Oh, man.
being at Big 12 Media
The
Day.
gold of Mike Gundy.
I did my Twitter algorithm gave me the DUI thing again
Yes.
this morning.
Mm-hmm.
It was Ollie Gordon, right? Ollie Gordon,
Yes.
running back.
Yes.
He's like, I've drunk drive 1,000 times. No big deal. We're like, have you now?
I've just been lucky. I've been lucky.
He is it's a shame. I didn't look, and it was his time. But also, I tell you, this is number 5. You do have a little bit of an occasional quote machine in Deion Sanders. He was asked why he's not in. I didn't realize we were going to get the coaches being asked about why they weren't in the game. Here's Deion Sanders being asked why he's not in college football 27.
A few of the coaches in college football are not in the video game. You're one of them. I was curious why that was and what went into that decision.
I don't know about the video games. I have a wonderful team that handles a lot of business for me. If I'm not in the game, that means they weren't paying enough. It probably didn't fit where we're going right now. That's probably it. It was probably that simplistic. Thank you, Athletic. You guys do a wonderful job. You know I'm lying, right? Next.
What was going on? You know what? Just for the sake of doing it, here's number 4. This is Joey McGuire yesterday. Everything going back and forth. Here's Joey McGuire on playing Texas.
Yeah, first spot the ball, man. Like, we're ready to go right now. We'll play tomorrow. You know, we don't need any film study or anything like that, man. I know they don't either. They got a great football team, one of the best teams in the country. They're going to be really good this year. You know that.
It's just like madness out there. You got Brett Yormark arguing with Texas Tech. You got Deion Sanders rambling through that.
Listen, they're now sponsored by Monster Energy. Everybody is charged up and ready to go. So you just got quotes flying all over the place. It's on brand for the league now.
They're all charged up on Monster.
And they're in the back. I remember I was at a radio station one time and a storm came through, and Mountain Dew gave us all their like energy drinks. And dude, people like they didn't sleep for like 4 days. They just it sounds like that's what's happening out at Big 12 Media today. Hour 3 on the way. We get back into some things going on. You're listening to the Halftime Show. Bill Gunner for AAA Heating and Air. Basically, the closest relatives I have right now is Roy and Dana Finley. I am so thankful for them. You heard me complaining when we started the show, whining, complaining about the heat. Well, it would be that way at the Gunner household if not for AAA Heating and Air and the great job they did about 5 years ago. It was about 5 years ago. Now they came out and installed a brand new Trane heating and air unit at the house. And it was the professionalism that really stood out to me. Not only just the way they installed it, the way they talked to me about how it would keep energy costs down, things of that nature, but also the way they cleaned up. Like they hadn't been there, that you didn't even know that a brand new heating and air unit had been put in. It was all very professional. And that's the great thing about AAA Heating and Air is the way they treat their customers. Right now you can get some great deals. Guaranteed financing. Don't have to worry about that. A 15-year parts and labor warranty. That gives you some comfort. And how about this? No payments or interest for 12 months. Contact AAA Heating and Air today. Call AAAtoday.com. It is 2:00 on a Wednesday. Just think, halfway through the week. For those of you that work till 5 p.m., you're 3 hours left, and then it'll be the back part of the week. Hopefully, maybe a relaxing weekend for you coming off of 4th of July. 4th of July on a Saturday is wild because I'm, for 5 out of 7 days, we're used to 4th of July, 5 out of 7 years. We used to 4th of July being like during the week, and you mix and match some vacation days, and then you come off on 4th of July, and then you get the weekend, and you kind of can recover, or you can keep it going. When it's on a Saturday, it's just kind of a wild situation. So maybe this weekend for a lot of you, rest, relaxation, maybe not as much partying or as many hot dogs.
Yeah, I mean, you can still eat hot dogs, just not maybe at the volume that you did last weekend.
Do you two know, I got this sent to me this morning, the rough estimate on hot dogs consumed during the summer months, May, June, July, August, the rough estimate on hot dogs consumed?
Like total number or
total
like
number.
weight?
This takes out Joey Chestnut?
Yes, I think. I don't know. That's a good question. Did not have that caveat. How many number? The number. 6, 12, 1,000?
Average person.
No. In America. How many hot dogs are consumed? The total number. So if 3 of us ate 3 each, we'd eat 9. Dave ate what?
This
4,
is over the course of the entire summer.
Over the course of the summer.
You got a guess, Terry?
I'm going to go 6.
6.
What the heck?
6 what?
1,000.
America.
Oh, America.
America.
Oh, 6 million?
I'm going to go 120 million.
Higher.
Are you serious? 200 million? We're getting there, 200 million?
Y'all aren't even, I mean, you're so far off.
500 million?
You're still far off.
A billion?
You got to keep going.
No. That's insane.
According to a study, I'll have to go back and look and see exact. Americans typically now this is Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Okay.
This is a different one. Actually, I hadn't seen this.
That's the length of summer.
Memorial Day to Labor Day, 7 billion hot dogs are consumed from Memorial Day to Labor Day. You guys started off. You guys started off like in the low millions.
Hold on, I gotta do some math real quick here.
The average, on the 4th of July, just the 4th of July.
Okay.
An average of 150 million hot dogs are eaten on the 4th of July alone.
It's crazy.
But from Memorial Day to Labor Day, 7 billion hot dogs throughout America.
That means, again, going from Memorial Day to Labor Day, that means roughly the average American over that span is eating about 22 hot dogs.
That's 22 more than I eat typically. I'm not a hot dog.
And there's a lot of people that don't eat them, so other people have to make up for that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a hamburger guy, not a hot dog.
Because 7 billion, roughly 320 million people in America right now. So, yeah, about 22 hot dogs per person over that time period.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's what is it? That's I mean,
I guess, yeah.
But I see hot dogs as a snack.
Okay.
Like, no, you laugh. Like, if I go to a cookout, very rarely. Now, I have I say young, 16 and 14.
Yep.
And a hot dog for my son. Terry, I'm broke, by the way. I've got a 14-year-old that's eating me out of house and home.
I know that.
If you could speak to management about this, that would be fantastic.
How many corn dogs did you have to bring him yesterday?
He went 3.
Went 3? Okay.
He went 3. I went 1. There was a restaurant chain that did 99-cent corn dogs yesterday, and he went 3 and a medium fry last night. Thank goodness they were 99 cents.
How dare you say?
But I just thought I'd be like, hey, y'all want to, it's 2:00 in the afternoon. We've already had breakfast. Maybe hey, you guys want a snack? Just a quick snack. Like the other day, I just had some chicken tenderloins, cut them up real quick, put them in the air fryer, then put them in a tortilla, made a quesadilla with cheese. Maybe just a quick snack. Not what I would consider a real meal. That's how I look at a hot dog. Like if I go to a barbecue or if I go to a cookout, and there's like a hot dog, but there's hamburger. I'm with Terry. I'd go hamburger over a hot dog every day. Mm-hmm. But like one good just hot dog, either with just ketchup or just plain. I'd normally have one. Now, if hot dogs is the only thing, then I got to start putting on slaw and chili, and I got to start.
You
going
make it a thing then. You got to make it a
Then
deal.
now it becomes more.
Yeah, the more you put on it, the more of a meal it becomes.
But I will admit, in my older age, I feel like when I'm making it a meal with all the extras, I am playing a wild game with my stomach at night.
You're playing intestine roulette. Is that what you're doing?
I am, so I've eaten less hot dogs this summer. But yeah, I look at it as more of like, okay, here I'll throw one on real quick, have the little black char on it a little bit, kind of delicious.
You know where I made the mistake on hot dogs real quick? I was in elementary school, and I actually grabbed the pack and read the ingredients. That did it for me, man.
Have y'all seen the Nate Bargatze? It's older, but it's a SNL skit. Have y'all seen this, the Nate Bargatze skit, where he's talking about we're fighting? He's pretending to be George Washington.
Oh yeah.
And he says, and he's giving all the. He's like, we will have two names for animals, one dead, one alive. He's like, it'll be, when it's alive, it's a cow. When it's dead, it's beef. When it's alive, it's a pig or something. When it's dead,
I missed this one. I got to go back and watch.
Oh, he's on the boat. They're on the boat crossing the Delaware or whatever. And one of the guys, because the way Nate words it, he goes he's explaining everything. He's like, and when he goes, chicken will be chicken. It's just chicken. And he goes, don't you worry, fellas. A hot dog will not be made of hot dogs. And one of the little people one of the little guys on the boat goes, shouldn't we know what's in a hot dog? He goes, just get off the boat. A true American never wants to know what's in a hot dog.
Ever. I made that mistake. I was like 10, and I was like, and that was it for me. It was.
You know what? I've seen the documentaries. I know what's in it. It's still fine. I eat it.
It's like going to some fast food restaurants.
Yeah. I just don't want to know. We're upstairs eating that jambalaya, and it was really good.
Yeah.
And someone's like, what's in it? I go, don't tell me, because I'm liking it. The minute you tell me, you could screw this up for me.
No.
Don't tell me. I don't want to know.
I think with hot dogs, and there's some good places. Lexington's got a good couple, like little hot, I don't want to say stands, but kind of in and out places. I know we're going to try and work with one in particular that I've grown up going to. And, but yeah, you don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
I tell you, chili cheese dog, I'm in, man. I put the chili on that baby, a little bit of cheese. I can roll down that way. I'm good with that.
Because it's supposed to be so unique, and it's not unique. I think, what is it? They just like wet the bun or something. Is a Dodger dog like a must-have type item in your life?
Not really. Nah. Never thought about it that way.
Like, yeah, because don't you like that's what we hear. I've never heard of like a Yankee dog or a Seattle Mariner dog or so forth and so on. But which we learned at the Indy 500. Seattle's got their own particular hot dog.
They do.
They had the wiener. They had a particular Seattle. But anyway, 8 billion hot dogs consumed between Labor Day, Memorial Day, and Labor Day, and of that 8 billion, 150 million come on the 4th of July. So again, maybe this weekend you relax a little bit. You're not into the hot dog thing quite as much.
Yeah, you still eat some, but
still eat some.
Not the same. Yeah. We're not celebrating.
Yeah.
The numbers are pretty funny. 803-404-6100. We are in that kind of lull right now. No World Cup today, guys. Does anybody? Jay Phillips is at the beach. Does anybody know what Jay Phillips is doing? Should we check on him?
He might actually be on the beach right now instead of glued to a TV.
He's probably pacing, having a good time. But the quarterfinals get going tomorrow in the World Cup, and we'll kind of keep up with that a little bit. But obviously, now that the USA is out, I think a lot of us are kind of out. We'll get back into coming up the bowl thing and get Terry's opinion on that. Go through a few more bowl games. I've not given you. We gave you the playoff. We did not give you Clemson's bowl game. We'll tell you what their bowl game is slated to be as well, and get back into a little bit of that. Where does Athlon Sports have South Carolina slated to go, and how would you feel about that, even if the Gamecocks were 9-3? We'll talk about that. You're listening to the Halftime Show. I know. Any bowl game is going to be a disappointment for South Carolina fans in 2026. I got it. That's not what we're debating today. We'll get to that. We'll get to that question later. We'll get to what is acceptable and what is not acceptable later on. Athlon Sports, though, has put out their bowl projections for the season. And look, to be fair, unlike last year, we're not going to see South Carolina Bowl in playoff projections this year, right?
No, that's certainly not before the season starts.
Like if they are, it feels more like clickbait or something.
Yeah. If somebody from the reputable top sites,
Right.
ESPN, CBS, and all that, none of them are going to say, hey, Carolina's going to be the number 6 seed in the playoff. Like, you can get a random podcaster out there that may throw something out. But most of the reputable sites that we would quote or go off of, no.
Yeah. So, but you kind of look around. I always kind of look at bowl projections, and then I kind of think ahead and like, okay, would that be a fun trip? Is that worth going to? Would I make a trip to the bowl game? It's Carolina football. It's a chance for me to spend time with my son. Is it going to be worth it? So that's how I kind of view it, all right? So Athlon Sports puts out their bowl projection. And again, the first thing I look at is destination. Is it a destination that I could enjoy for, say, New Year's or New Year's Eve or right around Christmas or whatever? In this particular projection, it's got Nashville, the Music City Bowl. Now, throw records out the window. I know some of you go, well, wait a minute. That means we went 7-5 or 6-6. No, that's not what it means anymore. Tyler pointed out that last year an 8-4 Tennessee team went. Now, Again, I don't. This is why I don't want to go down the records path just yet, because 8-4. It's good. I can see where we're going with that conversation. 2 years ago, it was a 9-3 Missouri team.
Yes.
So the way the bowl games now work, it doesn't just mean it's not. It is the Citrus Bowl, but everybody after that is kind of a selection process. And have you been here before? Who's the opponent? What can we match up? It's not just, well, you were the third team in the SEC, therefore you go to the Gator.
Right.
You were the fourth team, therefore you go to the Belk.
It's not the pecking order that it used to be, because it used to be, all right, Citrus, Outback, Gator, on down, and then, they're at the bottom. It was like Music City, Birmingham, and all that stuff. Like, it's not the same anymore. There are a lot of factors that go into who they select to go to what bowls.
And even going way back in the day when South Carolina could never seem to get into the Peach Bowl. So that's irrelevant. So that's why I just say, like, would you go to a bowl game? And for example, in this situation, Nashville's a fun town. You don't make the college football playoff. There's going to be hurt. There's going to be disappointment. There's going to be anger. Some of y'all are going to be calling in or texting in demanding fire the coach. This is not acceptable. All right, whatever. We'll get to that conversation later. But the Music City Bowl. Then I look at, well, who's the opponent? Does it at least intrigue me? Even if both teams are going to have opt-outs. In this particular scenario for Athlon Sports, the Gamecocks would play Nebraska. Marcus Satterfield still is with Nebraska in a capacity, right?
He is their tight ends coach.
Okay, so you get to see Marcus Satterfield again. You get to see Lonnie Teasley. Nebraska is still a big name. I asked Tyler earlier, does beating Nebraska still carry any cachet? Even beating a bad Nebraska team? You say no, and I think I wanted to say yes when I asked the question, but the more I think about it, you're right. I don't think you get that. Well, we beat Nebraska.
Yeah. Well, what is Nebraska right now? They're a 500 Big Ten team. 30 years ago, beating Nebraska meant you beat one of the best programs in all of college football.
No, I'll take it further back. When South Carolina beat them in 2011.
Yeah, when they were
2012?
With Bo Pelini.
Yep.
Yeah, when they were consistently winning 9 to 10 games, and they were not an elite team in their conference at that point in time, but they were a good, consistent winning program.
Yeah.
You beat them. If you hypothetically matched up with them in the Music City Bowl this year, you beat a 500-ish Nebraska team.
Yeah.
Like, that's just kind of what they are.
Well, I'm looking at the program standard. But, yeah, I would be interested in that. You mentioned it. The Music City Bowl is December 30th. You go up on the 30th. Or you probably have to go up on the 29th. Catch the game on the 30th. Do New Year's Eve in Nashville. Hang out on the 1st, come on back on the 2nd. That's how I look at it. Now, obviously, the goal here is to get to the college football playoff, and that's the way we can look at it one way. The players should be looking at it an entirely different way. They should be looking at it like we got to get to the college football playoff. Clemson, on the other hand, how do you like this little matchup? It feels like Clemson gets teased for this for this game every year, never gets to go. San Diego during Christmas, the Holiday Bowl.
Yes. I'd forgotten that was an ACC tie-in.
Yes.
Yeah, to my knowledge, I don't think they've played in that before.
Now, every year it feels like they're projected. If they're not projected for the playoff, it's like, or late in the year, they're projected for the Holiday Bowl, and then they never get to go. And this year it would be the Holiday Bowl against Washington. Now, you mentioned distance. I mentioned earlier, like, Nashville would be number 2 on my list of bowl games I would want to go to. Las Vegas would be number 1. I will take both of those over Orlando and Tampa each and every day, and then twice on Sunday. But I'm assuming San Diego around New Year's, quite lovely to go and watch your team play, even if there's opt-outs and everything, to go watch your team and enjoy some time there.
Well, it's one of those places that's annually every day of the year between like 70 and 85 degrees. So yeah, you're gonna have some good weather out there. Now again, it's a long trip, and I don't even know what your record would be if you went to that game. But let's say they're 7-5. Let's say Clemson goes 7-5 again, and they're in the Holiday Bowl against Washington. Are you making that trip to watch a Clemson team that was just over 500 go all the way across the country for that game? Like
me? If I was
I'm asking you,
a Clemson fan?
If you were a Clemson fan, would you go to that?
Yeah, because it fits my criteria. Again, and you're right, they might be 8-4, it might be 7-5, they might be 9-3. I don't care. The record, bowl games to me are no longer about record, and honestly, to an extent, no longer about who you see, who you're watching play. Like, because I would count on, I could go ahead and count on right now, if South Carolina doesn't make the playoff and they go to a bowl game, I can go ahead and say Dylan Stewart's not playing.
Yeah.
He's out. He's done.
Yep.
I don't know on Nick Harbor, and I don't know on Lenora Sellers. I would actually take a swing and guess. I would actually take a swing and guess and say that Vicari Swain doesn't play.
Okay.
I don't know. But that's my guess. So, with all that being said, yeah, I'd go to San Diego. I've never been to San Diego.
I was going to say, have you ever been to San Diego?
I've never been.
I'll tell you this. I went to San Diego Super Bowl week, 20 years ago or whatever. Packers, Broncos. All I know is this. If I got disposable income, I'm going to San Diego. I might not make it to the bowl game because I'm hanging out in San Diego, hit the Gaslamp District.
Really?
Zoo District. Oh, yeah, San Diego's fun, man.
See,
and the weather.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, and part of this conversation is, I love the bowl system. It's something. It's just entertaining. How do we keep the bowl system somewhat relevant and going? And by that I mean, how do we convince you all to go, to spend your hard-earned money? I think it's got to be like a vacation. I mean, let's be honest. If we can get decent tickets, is there still a Bahamas Bowl?
No,
it's gone.
That's gone.
Unfortunately.
Okay, we got nothing out of the country.
Cabo Bowl. Can we have a Cabo Bowl?
Yeah, a Cabo Bowl. Yeah, I mean, there's going to have to. We're having.
Your philosophy could change the bowl system. Cabo, Bahamas.
Yeah. See, this is where we're trying to play these games in Ireland and Brazil during the regular season. Make them bowl games.
There you go.
You give fan bases 3 weeks to plan and travel to Brazil or Mexico or Europe or wherever for a bowl game. I guarantee you a lot of people would go, especially around the holidays.
Ready? Amsterdam Bowl.
Yeah. You could have like 5.
Fans might not make it back.
You could have like 5 bowls across Europe, France, England, Spain. I don't know. I guarantee you'd get a lot of fans to go over there, no matter how good or bad their team is, because it's destination, right? It's like, hey, my team earned the right to play in the Spain Bowl. I'm going to go over there and enjoy my trip.
I mean, listen, I was just glancing at some of these bowls. The Boca Raton Bowl, which would have Troy and Liberty.
Oh, you don't want to play in Florida Atlantic Stadium?
I would love to go to the Boca Raton Bowl. Boca Raton, and I don't have the date. Of course, that one actually is.
That's one of those early December ones before. Like, there's a line. If you're playing in a bowl game before Christmas, you're probably not that great. If you're playing after Christmas, okay, we're getting better.
But don't look at it that way. See, this is what I'm trying to say. Don't you say you're not that great. Look, there is no more. Being 9-3 and missing a bowl is being no more relevant than being 6-6. I'm sorry. Being 9-3 and missing the playoff you're really no more relevant than being 6-6 and going to a bowl. I mean, this day and age, this is where we're at.
Yeah, in terms of like after Selection Sunday, when the field is set, you're right. Like, yeah, if you're the 15th team in the country and you're 9-3, well, you're about as relevant as the team that is 6-6 and playing in some other random bowl game, because what you do past that point does not matter anymore.
Right. And you're going to have opt-outs. You're going to have all that stuff happen. So that's my point. If I'm the SEC, if I'm maybe the commissioners or the ADs who've got to take these trips, I'm calling up Boca Raton and like, hey, I mean, listen, I think bowl games, you go to more stadiums like Brooks Stadium down in Myrtle Beach. And Myrtle Beach, I know the weather down there. It's not, you can get some cold days. But I think that stadium is perfect as opposed to playing a huge bowl game in Tampa Bay at the ReliaQuest Bowl. I don't know actually what Tampa Stadium is called. I've been sitting
Raymond James.
Raymond James. Yeah, thank you. I did know that. But yeah, because it can look empty, and there's other places that can look empty too. Yeah, play them in smaller, but Boca Raton Bowl Friday, December 18th at 11 a.m. You are right, but still Boca Raton in December. I'll find a way to make it work. But there's a lot of other bowl games that would be a lot of fun, but you got to make a decision. What exactly are you going for? What exactly are you going for? 803-404-6100. The playoff that Athlon has put out there, for those of you wondering, their playoff against South Carolina in the Music City Bowl against Nebraska, Clemson in the Holiday Bowl against Washington. The playoff that Athlon has come up with, again, starts with Indiana as the 5 seed hosting Boise State. I will admit, Terry and I were talking about this because being with the kidney thing, I've not gone to the beach. I've not done my yearly tradition of buying the magazine. You bought it, of course, now that I realize it's $24.99 or $25.99. Might have to go take out a small loan for that or tell Austin to eat peanut butter and jelly for a week. But normally I would have a magazine by now and have sat out on the beach and done it. But so Boise State, I don't know. I did see where they're building a sculpture of Kellen Moore, a statue, a sculpture.
Sure. Yeah. All right. I don't know. I feel like Boise State is almost kind of like the easy answer. We're like, all right, what G5 team's going to make the playoff? Yeah, probably Boise State. Okay. And, again, we're very young into this process. It's only been 2 years since they've had that guaranteed spot. But over the next 10 years, is that probably going to be the case more often than not? Yeah, there's a good chance of that. So, yeah, if you have nothing else to go off of, then you say, sure, yeah, put Boise State in there. Why not?
They would be the 5. Indiana would be the 5. Boise State would be the 12. 6 versus 11 would be Oregon and Texas Tech. That game would be in Eugene. Again, the first round of the playoffs, number 7 Miami would take on number 10 LSU. That game would be down in Miami. And the other game taking place, number 8 seed Oklahoma, number 9 seed Texas A&M. None of those really get me juiced up for all right.
Yeah.
Playoff Friday night, playoff Saturday.
Yeah. Now, again, it also depends on how those teams have played and what players emerge and all that. But, yeah, at this point in time, nothing jumps off the page at you so far.
Second, the quarterfinals. The quarterfinals would be Notre Dame as the 4 seed taking on. They've got Indiana projected to win that. The Peach Bowl would be number 2 Georgia, the number 2 seed taking on Miami. Cotton Bowl, the number 3 seed Texas, they would get Oregon, and the Rose Bowl would have number 1 Ohio State taking on Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl. That might be kind of entertaining a little bit. Semifinals, Ohio State and Notre Dame, Georgia and Texas, and their national athlon, the national championship game, which this year is in Las Vegas. Ohio State taking on Georgia. All good with that?
Yeah, sounds good.
Except we both agreed, except for the semis, which Ohio State, Notre Dame, Georgia, Texas.
Yeah, it's like, all right, we've seen that enough.
Simulate and tell us who wins. 803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in this afternoon. When we come back, we'll get into an article in The Athletic. Last week, a week ago today, was the 5-year anniversary of NIL. How does it look today compared to what we thought it would look like back then? Tyler's got some thoughts, and I do as well. We'll talk about it. It's the Halftime Show. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing. You know who I'm talking about, the company that is keeping our homes and our businesses dry and running long into the future because, well, that's what they've done, and that's what they continue to do, making sure that any leaks we have are taken care in a timely manner and taken care of by an incredible company who puts their customers first. So whether you're listening today here in Columbia, maybe you're in Myrtle Beach or Florence, maybe you're in Charleston or Spartanburg or Greenville, wherever you're at in this great state, Mid-State Roofing has got you taken care of. All you need to do is give them a phone call and line up a maintenance contract. 803-356-1919. Again, that's 803-356-1919. That's how you can reach out to Mid-State Roofing. They're available for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's right. You'll speak with an on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing employee. 803-356-1919. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. We've been talking bowl games here on the halftime show. Just, what kind of intrigues you is it used to be bowl games were a big deal when you travel to them and everything. And go have a good time. Well, in the ever-evolving world of college football, bowl games have moved way down the list. Way up the list, NIL. All right. Woohoo! Do y'all remember, and I'm serious about this, when NIL really came into play? It was 5 years ago, a week ago today. It was July 1st, 2021 is when NIL got started. And, we're opening Pandora's box, and kids are going to be able to play, and they're going to get paid to play. We're going to turn it into pay to play. And then there was a lot of people saying, no, that is not going to happen. This is just kids being able to put on their own camps during the summer. They can create their own T-shirts and, an offensive
sell jerseys in the bookstore.
An offensive lineman can have a brand called House of Pancake, or whatever. You get the point. House of Pancakes for pancaking blocks, whatever. And here we are today where now quarterbacks, top-end quarterbacks, are in demand for $4 or $5 million.
Right. And
it is essentially every bad thing that people talked about has come to fruition.
Pretty much, yeah. When this, and look, I've always been on the side of players of being able to benefit of their name, image, and likeness and all that stuff. And when this was going to happen in July of 2021, I were like, okay, hey, star quarterback can now have a sponsorship deal with the local car dealership.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that'll net them a couple $1,000s, maybe 10 or 20, something along those lines. That's cool. Again, players can do endorsements with local businesses and things along those lines. That's fine. But I know the article that we're reading on The Athletic the other day, I think it was A&M and Tennessee were kind of among the first two that kind of were like, hey, if we just paid guys to come here, they can't stop us, right? And that was just the snowball that rolled downhill and got us to the point where we are today, because we quickly realized after NIL became a thing how powerless the NCAA really was, because every time they tried to fight back against these things happening, court, loss, because they couldn't enforce anything because of antitrust, and we don't have collective bargaining. So, yeah, it ended up unfurling a lot, and it's to the point that we're here 5 years later wondering if anybody's ever going to be able to get a wrangle on this, and quite frankly, I don't know if they're going to or not.
No, Pandora's box has been opened, and this is what we've got. And I will say this: I think there are bigger issues in college football transfer portal that need to be addressed, because I don't know what you can do with NIL. You have taken the seedy side of college football, which was, hey, here's an envelope full of money, spend it correctly, have a good time.
Yeah.
And you've opened it to now the public, where basically anybody can now give an envelope full of money, just, hey, make some tweets about our business. Let's sign a contract, make some tweets about the business. And now you also got rev share involved. But the question is can you put parameters on it to slow it down just to where it's at now? Can you keep this thing contained to where it's at now? And I don't know what's next.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if y'all think that we're heading toward a union, that we're heading toward collective bargaining agreements, that we're heading toward a salary cap, which is more rev share than it is NIL. By the way, remember...
We technically have a cap for rev share.
Well, yeah. But I was going to say, please remember, NIL and rev share are two entirely different things.
Right.
Two entirely different things. So, but Tyler, that's the thing in this article in The Athletic about it, is how quickly this blew up in the face. I don't want to say of the NCAA, because it felt like they tried to stop it.
Sure.
But really of college coaches. Who did it blow up on?
That's a good question, because, again, I don't know if anybody foresaw it going down this path and going down this path so quickly when it became, live back in 2020. I think it just kind of blew up on everyone, right? I think everybody's collectively feeling the after effects of the blast of what NIL is. Now, there are plenty of programs, plenty of people that have benefited from it, but it as a whole has really kind of cracked the foundation of what college football and college sports are up to this point, to where, again, we spend so much time in the offseason talking about these, off-the-field things that aren't fun, but they're news nonetheless in college football, because it's relevant and pertinent, because we don't have parameters on this. And quite frankly, to answer your other question, I don't know if we ever will. Because getting a CBA done with college athletes is a lot easier said than done because A, there's so many of them, and B, it's a cycle that goes through every 4 to 5 years, basically. So you're having to go back to the drawing board with a new, entirely new crop of athletes every couple years, and I just don't know how you organize all that.
Well, and on top of all that, every athlete, I don't know if y'all know this, and this is a little different, but it's college basketball. But a former Gamecock, Zach Davis, is part of a lawsuit to get 1 year of eligibility back that he says he's owed. I'll pull up the article and read it to you. He's one of about 11 players who sued the NCAA yesterday. Was it yesterday? Today's Wednesday. I believe sued the NCAA yesterday. It might have been Monday. But in an attempt to get a year of eligibility back.
Did he just run out this year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been around.
Yeah, I've heard about. I didn't know he was in it, but I've heard about this lawsuit.
But I say that because you're constantly, as you just said, and the way you worded is what made me think of it, having a new crop of players. And I don't know if we'd say pushing the rules, bending the rules, looking to snap the rules, looking to create their own rules. I don't know how we would phrase it, but they're basically challenging anything and everything about the NCAA.
And by the way, players don't want this, right? This is an open market. You, as a backup left tackle, can make like $3 million if a school is willing to pay that for you. They don't want any kind of parameters put in place because they're benefiting greatly from this market being wide open and you being able to get whatever somebody's willing to pay for you.
The lawsuit, by the way, from Zach Davis and 11 others who are filing the lawsuit in Tennessee are basically seeking the new NCAA rule of 5 years to be eligible right now.
Right, because their eligibility ran out.
Right.
Then this rule happened. They're saying, hey, we should have been grandfathered in because we just ran out. Give us an extra year. I don't know. They'll probably win because everybody typically does with the NCAA, so that wouldn't shock me.
But I guess my point on that is the players are constantly looking for the loophole or to get into whatever the new, whatever this, almost, these are the ones that aren't going to pro, right? Diego Pavia knew.
Oh, yeah, no, he was going to make sure he got as much money out of college football as he could.
Right. And so with that in mind, you had him filing lawsuits to come back and all the time, and now Zach Davis is doing that. But when you tie that in with NIL, it is one of those things where you're going to have players constantly challenging authority on how they can make money, what they can make, what exactly they got to do to make money.
Yeah, absolutely.
803-404-6100. We'll come back, wrap it all up. I'm going to read an excerpt. I'm going to get you and Terry. Terry mentioned going out to San Diego. Again, the Gamecock 247 site used to be the Big Spur. Now it's Gamecocks 247. Harold McGranahan's doing a great piece on former players and their recruiting. And there's been some things in there like technically Marcus Lattimore kind of committed to Clemson. Well, Todd Ellis, they put out Todd Ellis the other day. Todd Ellis talks about a recruiting trip to Stanford. I'm going to give y'all something that Stanford was able to do and get your opinion on an official visit. Can't happen these days, but I'll tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to The Halftime Show. if you got to be a member. You got to be a member, but if you go to Gamecock, it's Gamecock 24/7, 247. It's the old Big Spurs site. I'm not going to go down that path, but you get the point. It's John Whittle, it's Hale McGranahan, it's Alex Jones. It's that group. And I love stuff like this. Especially during the summer. They are doing a series on recruiting stories from former players. So they got one on Marcus Lattimore. Great stuff in there. Lattimore talks about his relationship with Jeff Scott and how he got caught up in Clemson very early in the process. Then Lattimore in the article talks about how he had to let Clemson down, and it's really worth reading. Well, They put another one out. I think they put it out last night. I happened to see it last night. They might have put it out a little bit earlier, but it's on Todd Ellis. They've also done Langston Moore, who we're all very familiar with here.
Yep.
And you need to go and read that one because Langston explains why he has such a dislike of Clemson.
Okay.
Very, very good, and it has to do with recruiting. They also did another great buddy of ours, another contributor to the station, Ryan Brewer. But they put one out on Todd Ellis. And to me, to Bill Gunner, Todd Ellis is a legendary figure because I really wasn't old enough to ever see him play. So you talk about, well, he threw this many touchdowns, this many interceptions. You talk about like, oh, well, he was one of the top quarterback recruits in the country. And there's all these stories about Todd Ellis, but it's kind of a mythical kind of stuff now, right?
Sure.
And the fact that I know Todd. Like, I actually know him, and I've never discussed any of this with him. So, anyway, they put out this article, really interesting. He says his final 5 schools were South Carolina, North Carolina, Stanford, Georgia, and LSU. Those are his final 5, right? All right?
Yeah.
He talks about it really came down to Stanford or South Carolina. And he says he had a relationship with Jack Elway, who was the coach there, got to know John pretty well. Well, he took a visit. You two listen to this. And this is, so whatever year it was in the 80s, I forget, he takes a visit to Stanford. What Stanford did, and obviously things were a lot different in the NFL back then, a lot different. The Super Bowl was played on campus at Stanford.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Stanford invited basically, according to this article, according to Todd Ellis, every top recruit in the country.
They just had their own section.
Yeah, basically. And because it was on campus.
It's okay. That's right.
And Todd in there talking about going, as a high school recruit, going to the Super Bowl. Can you imagine that these days? If you could, I don't think Miami, because they'll have the Super Bowl at Miami Gardens.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you could get away with that, but yeah, I mean, because if you're, and also nowadays, by the way, I mean, the official visits don't line up with the Super Bowl and all that. It's the dates and the times.
Thing, right?
But it's a really good article where Todd talks about part of the article. He talks about going out there for the Super Bowl, being invited for the Super Bowl, and basically every single one of the top recruits in the country is there to take an official visit to Stanford.
The official visit.
Yeah.
Think about that, guys. You had the Super Bowl on campus at Palo Alto, California.
Yep.
Ain't happening today.
No.
I think that was the 49ers and the Dolphins, or the 49ers.
I think it was.
Someone played. I think it was 49ers Dolphins.
Yeah, that was before the Super Bowl became a full city takeover like it is now.
Right.
They would never. There's a reason they go to New Orleans, Miami, Dallas.
That's back when Up With People did the halftime show.
Yeah.
All that mess.
By the way, I finally watched that this year for the first time ever. Cringe is not even the right word for it.
Well, you watched what?
The Up With People halftime show that was so bad it led to halftime shows getting better.
The executives of the TV.
Because I guess the TV executive was like, never again.
Right.
Never give me that crap again for the halftime show. And then you started getting, Prince and Michael Jackson and all that stuff.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Yeah, again, really, really funny, really interesting, good story, great stuff. He talks in there about LSU flying him on a private jet to Baton Rouge.
Uh-huh.
He talks about Georgia and Vince Dooley being dead honest with him, says in the article, basically his mother wanted him to go to Georgia. Wanted him to stay close, go to Georgia, and she told Vince, "Tell him, lie to him. Whatever you got to do." And Todd said he has great appreciation for Vince Dooley because Vince came in and said, like, "Look, you're going to come here, but you're only going to throw the ball 18 to 20 times a game."
Yeah, we have running backs here.
We're going to run toss sweep. We're going to do this and do that, and that ain't going to be the same. So I encourage you. The Lattimore one's really good too, to go and check that out. By the way, that would be January 20th of 1985 is when that Super Bowl took place at Stanford Stadium, which I didn't realize until just now held 84,000 fans.
Mm-hmm. And 84 fans go to Stanford.
I was going to say it still holds 84,000 fans. They just don't sell it out.
Well, they've got that thing. They've got that thing where the first 3 games they're out of school.
Yeah, because they're on the quarter system, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
even when students are in, half of them don't know the game's happening.
Go check that out.
It's a library.
Yeah. No, they're actually in the library. That's why they're not there.
Yeah. No, that's reminiscent of the first time I went to Nashville when Vanderbilt was not good. Went to Nashville in the early 2000s. I think Holtz was the coach. I think it was 2004. And this goes back to me going to bowl games and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I got to Nashville, and we wanted to explore the campus. It was supposed to be a nice campus. And we walk up on some people there, and they're chit-chatting. We said, "Hey, where's the football stadium?" And they're like, "Well, I don't know." and they were like, "Is there a game this weekend?" And it was South Carolina was opening against Vanderbilt up there. We won 31-6. And they were like, "Oh, we got a football game, huh?"
We have a football team? What?
We play sports here at Vanderbilt?
Things have changed at Vanderbilt
yes,
now.
They have.
Great afternoon. Terry, good luck next hour.
Thanks.